Okay, I wanna learn something as well. Okay, we are learning. Yeah. So the ladies of your destiny, I think they also wanna find out to say, what is it that you like, that you think you can use as a leader? Like for me, I think I really shy away from leadership because I feel like I don't have what it takes. I'm limited in this and that. But I believe that there are certain things that God places in our hearts, or certain things that we have that we can use to our advantage as we lead people, or as we lead in ministries or in organizations, wherever we are, whether even at home. What are those things that you discovered when you were already in leadership that you're like, oh wow, okay, this I can use it to my advantage, or this is actually helping me to maneuver and to find my way out.
I think for me, you're very. I mean, I love that you're very consistent. Honestly, you're very consistent. You might not know it, but you are entirely equipped, and you just need to keep on working in it. And what God has placed in the shoes God is actually fitting in your feet. No, it's not out of flattery. It's not for flattery, but it's the truth. It's my honest truth. I've known you for 5 years, and I've known you as a leader also in the ministry, and I know some things about you that I really appreciate.
You're pretty good.
Yeah. So yeah, okay. So that's true. I personally I have been a cell group leader before, like a cell group leader for 2 years, cell group coordinator specifically, and a cell group coordinator in my fellowship, you need to like pick leaders to lead cell group and like come up with Bible study material for cell groups, and just the whole idea of like coordinating cell groups in the fellowship. And in my first year, the first time I did it, I was just like new in China, just came to China, and you just got the first time you're a leader and you're a cell group coordinator. I didn't really know that much about people, and I didn't know who was best for leading and who was not, but I with the help of God, I tried to like come up with a group. But then before I formed that group, it was really hard because you ask someone, they are also in their second year, just studying, just came in China. They're not, there's all the shyness and there's all the, I probably don't want to. There are those who are trying to run away. Like God has been telling them, you have to leave. They're like, they're running away because now that you're in a different country, it's not your time. Or maybe like, God, no, I have done enough, Right now I just want to rest, but then God still arrests them and be like, no, I still want you to continue what I started in you. And and now people will be like, no, I don't think I'm good with it. Like I don't think I have the equipment, the right equipment. But eventually, they come to realize that there's something that God has placed inside them, and you only learn that when you are doing what God wants you to do, and at that time, or the timing that He wanted you to do it. So in the end, you come to realize, oh, actually, I have this thing inside me, and this thing is big enough.
Oh, wow,
yeah. So we always remember that something that like what my best friend wrote, like you have a journey that God is taking you through, and God has equipped you for it. The strength that you need, the passion that you need, the purpose, the power, everything that you probably think you need is in that. And something I know is that if you are going to say that I don't want to take up leadership because I don't think I have it, and I'm going to look at the other leaders, you're always going to want what they have. You're always going to be looking at what they have and be like, wow, I wish I had that. I wish I was as good as she was in this. I wish I knew how to speak well as she does. But you probably don't know that God wants you to stand where you are standing, and you take up the leadership, and you kind of like are a leader, and then while you're a leader, you start doing it, and you find yourself that you can actually do it more than they are doing it. So it's just in the point of you working in it. So for me, something that I have come to love about myself is, one, I'm really talkative. I'm very talkative. I tend to not be silent, and not be silent as in not that I'm always fighting for people's rights or I'm there UN. no, not that way. But I'm talkative. I speak a lot. I speak a lot. There's a point. I remember I was speaking to a friend of mine, and I was telling them, bro, I think I'm so tired of how I speak too much. I don't want to speak too much. I feel like I overspeak and I don't want to do it. And he told me that, what, it's not about you actually speaking, it's God wanting to use your mouth, and if He's going to use it, maybe someone else is going through a hard time, and with whatever you're saying, even if it doesn't make sense to you, it's helping them, you know. But you just have to be open to do it. You just have to be open to keep on doing it. And so for me, what I actually started doing is I started polishing my speech. You know, I started reading dictionaries and like kind of like taking in new words, like learning new words, reading books, reading articles online, reading different kinds of things, and listening to people, hearing how people speak, learning how people speak professionally. Like, you know, you sit down and how you actually sit down to speak. I don't know if I'm doing it good, but just learning how to polish your talent, or polish what you can. And honestly, no equipment is bigger than someone else's. No equipment is less than someone else's. It's just how disciplined you are to wield it. The swords that God gives us in our arsenals, the weapons that we have in our arsenals may be different, but they all have the same, or at least the same impact. So if I'm good at speech, maybe someone else is good at singing, or good at doing something, and we all both work together. They all bring the same impact, but we just need to know how to wield them, how to polish them. So in the end, for me, what I actually started doing is to just polish what I feel like God has given me, even though probably it's not comfortable. It doesn't feel comfortable to always be speaking, even when you don't have to. But there is also that discipline when you know that you should speak and when you know that you shouldn't. You know, just can't be talkative all the time, and God is helping me with that. And something else that I love about myself, or I appreciate Gladys for as Gladys as a leader, is that not Gladys, please, is that I'm very patient. I can really be patient with the people that God has given me, and I learned that from my cell group ministry, and just being around all the leaders. You know, there's all these things where you have a meeting and people are late, you have this and people didn't come, then people didn't show up, you have to submit documents and people didn't submit them on time. Like, there's so many things, and just of course there's a point where you have to, like, you know, discipline someone, or like tell someone and speak to someone, and there are times when you have to be patient with them. Maybe they are having a hard time with their studies, maybe they are having a hard time in their lives, or maybe they are just emotionally broken, and you just need to be patient with them and learn how to embrace everyone and their weaknesses, you know, and be able to know their strengths and to lift them up in their strengths. So I think for me, just being patient was a strength of mine. It's something that took me through my leadership. Being patient with the other leaders that I have with, being patient with the people that I'm leading, being patient with when people don't show up, and just really being patient with everything. You know, and I really love that about myself, and I pray to God the same way God is really patient with us. I always ask Him, like, God, I want to be patient with the people that you have given in my hands, to know how to love them the way you love me, you know, to know how to care for them, and to just wait on them the way you do, you know, and not to overdo it so that in the end you lose people, you know, but to do it moderately and to just be patient with the same way God is or at least the same way God is patient with us, you know. So yeah, so I think
you know, I like one thing, you know, like, you know, I think sometimes, I mean, one thing that I realize is I compare myself to another person, you know, to say, you know, this person is good at this. And when it comes to leadership, I think we all bring different, we all bring a different aroma to the table. We all bring something different, and when we come together, you know, we bring something beautiful. And I think we need to understand that as well, to say, I'm not bringing what Gladys is bringing, you know, I'm bringing something different. And yeah, I think that's beautiful.
It's right. I think on that note, it's really dangerous to compare, and not I have compared myself so many times. I'd look up at someone and be like, oh God, I want to be like that. Even in my speech, I'll tell myself that I don't speak good, I don't speak well, I don't have a nice accent, I don't, you know, like I'm not like God, I'm not very fluent, I'm not as eloquent as this person. You know, just compare yourself with people, and in the end you actually lose out on what God has given. And that's that's really dangerous to what God has put in your life. That's something that's going to always choke your growth when you keep on comparing your growth to someone else's. I read this other quote that says that don't measure your life, or don't measure your steps with someone else's ruler. You know, if you have this timeline, and Burundi has this other timeline, my timeline is never the same as hers. So if I'm going to look at my life through her mirror, through her life, I'm gonna miss the point of why I'm walking on this road, you know, and in the end I'll be the worst version of myself. And so that's something that is really dangerous. Don't compare yourself even God told the Israelites, and he told them that, you know what, I am the one that's going to distinguish you from the other people. So don't try to compare yourself with how they are, what they have that you don't have. They have a king, we don't have a king. You know, they have a ruler, we don't have a ruler. You know, and then in the end, you lose out on actually the promise that God has given just for you. He has just created just for you because you have compared yourself. He's the one that's going to make the distinguish between you and the other person. He's the one that's going to kind of like differentiate the fact that you are Gladys and the fact that you are Ruby Zai.